everybody. Welcome to Stampin' Crafty with Carolyn. I'm so happy you joined me today. My name's Carolyn Lubitsky and I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up. And I have a wonderful card for you today. I got this idea from a Pat Martin who was doing a video, and I fell in love with it. I have made some changes to it, which I can tell you about. But let me show you the card. It starts out this way, and then it opens up like this. And what you have here is an Oriental type screen card. And I left one with some room on it for any type of message the sender may want to send. I have done that one, done a few. I just fell in love with this. And here's another one. Unfortunately, this particular stamp set that I used with the dragonfly is no longer available, but I had to try it. I think it's just lovely. Do you notice the legs here? Very Oriental style legs, whereas the top is very straight. And I will show you how to do that when we're doing the card. All right, I am going to turn the camera down and we're going to go over measurements. And don't forget, the measurements will be under the video, under the words that say show more, so you don't have to worry about writing them down. They'll be there for you. And please, if you like what I'm doing, I need thumbs up. I also could use subscribers. If you would please subscribe to my channel if it's something that you think you'd enjoy watching. Ring the bell and you'll get notification each time one of my videos goes live. Okay, here we go. We're going to turn this camera down. I'm going to put my glasses on to be sure that you're all in focus and lined up. And I think that looks pretty good. All right, we're going to start with a basic black cardstock, and the size is 5.5 by 11, and it's scored at 2 3/4, 5.5, and 8 1/4. And to save us time, I've already scored and burnished it. Next, we need 5 pieces of basic red cardstock, and this measures 2.5 by 4 5/8. 5 pieces of basic black cardstock, and this measures 2 1/8 by 4 1/4, as well as 5 pieces of basic white cardstock, which measures 2 inches by 4 1/8 inches. We have 5 sections that we need to decorate, so we need 5 pieces of all this cardstock. And first thing I want to show you is how to decorate each individual white section, and I hope you can see that. Perhaps I'm going to put it on a pierce mat, and that will make it show more. I'm going to need it anyways for the photopolymer stamps. You line them up, and what you're attempting to do is the person who receives this card or views this card, you want to be sure that your items will make their eyes go from one panel to the next. So you need to put them together, and when you finish these two, then you put another one together over here and you do the same. So what we're looking for is some sort of a flow. in the panels. And I'm using my black Memento ink, and I need to get out a block, and we have a bamboo reed. This is from, and I love this set. It's called Bamboo Beauty. And it has whatever you need to do this card. Although I did pull some other sets out. It even has a little Oriental thing down here. The only Oriental saying they have is this one up here, and unfortunately it's just a little too big for me to use on this particular card. So I wasn't able to use that. All right, I'm gonna take and stamp up this Oriental looking reed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it. Actually, I need to get a small grid paper and put it underneath these pieces because I'm going to be stamping off the white cardstock. I don't want this to be as tall as what it is, but I do want to present the viewer with something that will catch his eye and make the eye follow to the next screen. So I'm going to do this with it. I'm going to start it there, and it's going to go to the next screen. Okay, let me get a wipe so that I can clean that off. I have a little tray up above, and that helps me keep everything safe. I won't lose anything. It's so easy to lose a stamp. And we're going to do the same here. We're just going to stamp it off a little bit. Unfortunately, I wiggled it, but we'll fix that up. It will look like a grass, a weed of grass or something. All right, the next thing I want to do is put this little Oriental saying at the very top. I've used the moon also, and let's see, we don't want halos. So we really don't need the pierce mat under the rubber stamps, but for the photopolymer stamps we do. All right, we got our little Oriental square up there. Now we're going to bring in some flying birds, and I don't want them to look like they're right up front. I want them to look as though they're in the distance. So I'm going to stamp off once and twice, and then do that. Stamp it off again. And again, we're creating a flow for the eye to follow to the next panel. Now I'm going to bring some that will be more up front. Sort of right there around it. All right, I have grass, and I'm putting two different stamps on one block. Nothing that says you can't do that. They go together. They're stamps, they're grass, piece blades of grass. And we're going to do this here. I'm going to stamp off a little bit. Let me get a little more ink and stamp off. Okay. And we're going to stamp it right there. And we're going to go into the next panel with the grass. And we're partially going to stamp it We are partially going to stamp it on the first panel, and the rest will go on to the second. And then we're going to do this here. Okay, so we have a nice flow. The eye will follow that. I'm going to put some birds down here as if they're actually searching for food in this marshy area. And again, I'm going to stamp off once. Stamp it off. And just go right over the grass because they're in the grass. Now on the second panel, since we have our little square up at the top, I am going to put a moon. Grab my little block, and right up here in the corner, let's stamp that off. We're going to put a moon up here. I'm just looking at my stamps to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. I do believe I want to put a little reed here because I have some ink that I don't like there. So I have a smaller reed, a little smaller than the first one I used. And we're going to stamp this up. Get rid of halos if you see any. And we're going to, actually, if we had another section here, it would be better if we took this and stamped it on the section next to it and allowed that one reed to kind of flow into this section here. Okay, so that's pretty much all I need to do, unless I want to add some more flying birds, but I think we have enough. I think we have enough. All right, I'm going to put these to one side. And now the next thing I'm going to do is with this red sheet, I have this beautiful, let's see, it comes from the Quite Curvy. Let me show you all the stamp sets. I know I showed you the bamboo one. I'm not sure that I showed you the Quite Curvy one. It has the birds, it has grapevines, as well as this is what I am using to decorate around the side of the black. Many wonderful sayings on that. And I also went to the Sailing Home set because it had the birds in the air. So that's why I used that. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take this floral, long floral piece, and we're going to wrap it around the outside perimeter of the red cardstock. And please, when you're using your poly or photopolymer stamps, try and, if you have a pierce mat, use it. If not, use something that's spongy underneath. Just hold it for a minute down, and there we have that. Let's stamp that up again. And we're going to be going off the paper this time, so I'm going to need to put a grid paper under that. And we're going to start there and press. Remember, you need to let the ink be absorbed into the paper before you take it off. You don't have to worry about the inside or how far in you're going with. You really need to just concern yourself with the borders, because we're going to have layers on top of this. Okay, let's get this one here, this side. When this comes together, it's just lovely. And I like the Oriental look. I have a lot of my furnishing are Oriental in style. And we did travel to the Orient about 1.5 years ago, and we went through China, and it was just before the COVID outbreak, so we were very fortunate that we didn't bring anything home with us. Okay, almost done with this. Just a little more. And I wouldn't worry if you're going over a piece of the floral, because it's not going to be noticeable. And there we have it. Now, I did not use glue runner for most of this. I used liquid glue because the spacing between each piece is kind of short. So you want to, I think we'll use this one here. You want to be able to have a little wiggle room. So the black goes on top of that. So now you can see why I say you don't have to worry about the inside. It's mostly the outside that you need to concern yourself with. Let me grab some liquid glue and my silicone craft sheet. The black goes on first, obviously. And when you put your liquid glue on, be careful not to put it too close to the sides, because once you press it down, it does spread out and it will ooze out. I have a little oozing myself. So let's just make sure that's the beauty of using liquid glue. I really prefer the glue runner, tape runner. However, there are times when liquid glue is absolutely necessary. And this would be one of those times. Let's wipe that off. And you see what I mean. There's very little wiggle room, let's say, between the white and the black base. There we have it. And I have done the other 5 pieces just so that I didn't want you to have to sit through my repeating everything for every single piece. Now let me show you how we make these wonderful Oriental looking legs. Can you, hopefully, let's see. Let me get something white under here so that it shows up better. I think you could see that. What I did was I took a punch, and if you flip it over, you could see that it's kind of ruffly and it has little legs here. So we're going to take and do 2 at a time because we want them to be the same. We're going to put them in and we're going to stop right under, if you could see that, I'm not sure, but we're going to stop. We're not going to go put it all the way in, obviously, because we will not have any room for our panels. So we do want to line it up. We're going to line it up so that we still have legs there. Doesn't need to be too much. And then if you just hold it down slightly, it holds the paper in place, gives you the opportunity to then adjust, and I do see a little adjustment that I need to make right there. And once you're happy with the way it is, you just push and there you have it. So now we have all 4 pieces that have Oriental style looking legs. Isn't that neat? That was the Label Me Lovely punch, and I'm just going to lock that up and put it to one side. Now we have to put our panels on. I made 5 panels, which is different from the original, because I wanted when the card folds, I didn't want it just to look black like that. I wanted it to have a panel on this side of the card, and this will fit in a regular A2 size envelope, and your stampage, the amount of stamp postage you put on it, is going to be the normal. So I'm going to lay these out and see how they flow. Okay, I could see that this is flowing into that. This one, if you could see that the tail of the bird is cut off, and in that one, so we know that comes next. And then this is where you would write whatever it is you want to write to whoever you're sending this to. So now we're going to take our silicone craft mat, put it down over here. Well, I'll put it where you could see it best. And we're going to attach each one in the order in which they go on the card. And again, we're going to use the liquid glue. Try not to go too close to the end. I do like to push a little bit into the corners so that I'm sure that they will hold. I use my grid paper to line most stuff up. I was going to say everything. I'll say most. So now we just want to get that in place. We have some wiggle room if we need it. Make sure it's lined up properly. And that looks pretty darn good to me. The next one, you need to look at the top of the one that's next to it and make sure that it's all is in a row. Same level. It's better to start your glue somewhere in the middle of your piece because many times you'll get this glob that comes out at first. Okay, now we're going to just look at the top and eye it and try to be sure, make sure that it's all lined up. If the top is lined up, your bottom will be lined up. Okay, that looks good. And hopefully you will use a glue that dries clearly. So I was telling you earlier that we went to China. We did a cruise. We did a Viking cruise to China. It was so enlightening. We got to walk on the wall. We got to see all the ancient history. It's such an old, ancient country. And it's very interesting to see how not only is it old, but the country also is new. They're building new buildings and skyscrapers like crazy. Unfortunately, our guide just did say most of the Chinese people cannot afford to live in them. So many of the skyscrapers they're building, it doesn't make much sense to me, are empty. And they just keep building. It's just amazing. And of course, we took a ride on the Yangtze River. We saw the Forbidden City. It was a marvelous. My husband and I both love anything to do with history. So we really did get to see history. So here it is, not quite done. We still have to put the front on. And we'll do that right now. With this one, you really don't have to worry about lining it up. You just want to get it sort of in the middle. You don't want to go below the legs, obviously. So we're just going to take it and kind of slide it into place. Watch our bottom. Make sure there's equal space at the top and the bottom, and that our sides are all equal. That looks pretty good to me. Okay, so now we have this, and we're going to put a little greeting on the front. And when you open it up, you see panel after panel after panel. I think it's just gorgeous. Love it. Just love it. Okay, now we need to make a greeting. And for the greeting, I'm going to use my double oval punch. It looks like that inside. We need to unlock it and open it up. The bottom is going to be black. We want to stay with the same format as we have here, although there won't be a red, but the bottom will be black. You punch that out, and the white, or the top, is going to be white. And I'm going to take this little piece of scrap and kind of just bring it down and punch that out. And that's all you need to do with that. And now I am going to be putting my greeting on, and it says, "Grateful for all that you do." And let's hope that that fits. It looks like it should fit. Yeah, just about. So I'm gonna just put that on there, and I will use my tape runner for this. Well, let's put the greeting on first. I gotta get a block. And see if I can line this up as best as possible. Okay, gonna back to my black Memento ink pad and stamping it up. Making, if there's any halos, we want to get rid of those halos. We don't want that on the card. All right, Let's get this on right. Let that paper absorb the ink for a couple of seconds and lift it up. Perfect. And we need to cover up this ink pad before we have a disaster. We don't want anything falling into it. Alrighty. Now we're going to take, maybe I'll use the liquid glue to put it on because it will give me some wiggle room. Okay, and I think that looks pretty good. Now we're just going to flip it over. And I'm going to grab my dimensionals and put some dimensionals on there. I'll do 3. And I need my pick. Okay, so I'm going to grab the card and I'm going to put it right there, right under the moon and the birds. Make sure it's lined up. Let's get the grid paper going, working for us. And there we go. And now we have our card. I just love this card. When I saw it, I knew I had to do it. And I had to share it with you. Now, of course, you could use any stamp set. It doesn't have to be Oriental. You could put floral in there. You could do whatever you want. It's your card. You make it yours by doing your own thing. Or you could do just as I have done. Let me turn the camera up. I do hope you enjoyed this card as much as I enjoyed making it for you. And I will ask you again, if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so you'll get notification. Also, under the video, don't forget, under the video, there is something that says show more. All of the dimensions will be there for you to see. It just makes it easier for you that it's there. The supplies that I've used will also be there for you. So I thank you again. I appreciate the time you spend with me, and I hope you'll come back and watch my channel again. Have a great day, everybody. Bye now.